Welcome to SKNIS Perspectives, an interactive program of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, aired weekly on this radio station.
On today's edition,
we have to make sure that we use the technology so that we as a post or posts can stay relevant.
The Postal Service in St. Kitts and Nevis looks to add technology applications to expand its service to the public. The move comes as postal administrations across the region consider ways to remain relevant. But the Director General of the Universal Postal Union explained there's no denying the importance of post offices.
It's just like oxygen in the air, I always say. We know it's there, we feel it, but we don't appreciate it really.
I'm Ian Richards, and this is Perspectives. Hello and welcome. St. Kitts and Nevis played host to administrators from across the region last week as it hosted the 16th Annual Conference of the Caribbean Postal Union, or CPU. 28 of the 29 member countries were represented at the meeting, held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. Delegates from the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France, and the Netherlands also attended the 5-day meeting. The theme for the conference was facing the challenges of a digital society.
The impact of technology is very great, and technology really is driving the post. And so we as a Caribbean Postal Union, we have to meet to see how it is impacting us and what exactly we can do, because it's no longer business as usual.
Sandra Davarin is the Federation's Postmaster General.
We have to make sure that we use the technology so that we as a post or posts can stay relevant.
And talk to us a bit about ways that you think the service in St. Kitts and Nevis that is offered by the General Post Office can be strengthened coming out of these discussions.
Well, coming out of these discussions, there are suppliers who show us that they have an IT platform that we can use, and it is basically the technology that they would use to enhance our services that we offer. And so this conference is really going to help the other administrations who would like to use that platform and the technology that they're going to offer to enhance the services that they provide. For example, some persons would want to use bill payments where you can have persons come into the post office and say, well, rather than going and waiting on a long line, whether it is to pay electricity or water bill, I can go to the post office. And if I use St. Kitts as an example, we have post offices around the island, so you can go into a post office in Sandy Point, Tabernacle, Keon, Old Road. Once you have that platform and that service is available, it's easy to go into any one of the post offices and ask to have a bill paid. Especially if you live in the rural area, you don't have to come to town, you go into the post office in your area. So this conference is really about seeing how well we can use the technology to enhance the services that we provide, especially as we are now operating in a digital age where the technology is impacting every aspect of our society.
And I suppose St. Kitts and Nevis is uniquely positioned to take advantage of that, considering that the Department of Post is also coupled with the Department of Technology.
Right. The Department of Post is in the Ministry of Technology, so we are working hand in hand.
Kurt Lewis, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Sports, Information Technology, Telecommunication and Posts, participated in the conference also. He expounded on the collaboration between the Postal Service and the Department of Technology.
The link between the Department of Technology was on display today with the launch of the Post Office website. So basically, the Post Office and the Department of IT have started a form of collaboration which I hope going forward would be down to the benefit of transforming the post to meet the challenges and demands of the digital age.
And where would you say that fits into government's strategy for e-government?
One of the challenging issues that the government has been grappling with is the ease of doing business. I think the post, as it is positioned, has the capability of making that possible, reducing the time or increasing the ease of doing business as such within the Federation because of the sub-post offices and the branches that are located around the island.
Ms. Daveren indicated that the website, which was launched at the conference, will soon allow persons to track packages online. www.post.gov.kn also contains useful information that visitors will find quite helpful, including stamp prices and locations where they are sold. Some of those stamps were on display at the CPU conference.
Well, the Philatelic Bureau has displayed our stamps that we have launched for the year 2012 and thus far for 2013. Our latest stamp is for the 50th anniversary of the Baptist Church. We did stamps in two denominations, 10 cents and 30 cents. I think the 10 cents depicted the church in its current state, and the other one was a portrait of the first pastor of the Antioch Baptist Church, William Connor.
So why the need to put those stamps that have been produced on display here at this conference?
Well, there's a need for that because we want other administrations to see what stamps we offer, one. Two, stamps are like our little ambassadors. They tell about our history, our culture, what we offer in our country, and there's one with our natural heritage site and other birds, different things that we have here in St. Kitts. And there are also persons who come to the conference who collect stamps and they would want to buy stamps. So at our philatelic section as well, we have cards, postal. Some persons would want to come and buy a card and send back a note to their homes and friends saying, well, this is a picture of St. Kitts and this is what they have on St. Kitts.
A key point raised at the conference was the support necessary from policymakers to support and strengthen the postal infrastructure. Permanent Secretary Lewis highlighted the commitment of the local government.
The post has always been integral to the life and development of people of the Federation. In this digital age, though, more is required from the post. The post has to understand that if it is to remain relevant, it has to basically rebrand itself. It has to adopt services and provide goods that the buyers are interested in. It's not about the post, it's about the consumers or the clients of the post. This knowledge or digital society is really a buyer's market. And once the post understands that, the post can then position itself to take advantage of that.
Are there any new strategies or services that will be rolled out by the government with regard to services that is being offered by the post? I recall when the internet cafe was opened within the post office, the one here in Bastia, that the minister spoke a bit about having such services across the different sectors and also the possibility of having something like bill payment being done there. Is there anything concrete right now that the government is working towards introducing?
Well, yes. A lot depends, though, on the type of architecture that is developed. When you're talking about integrating or fusing the post with ICTs, one has to first look at the business processes of the post. Those processes have to be reviewed, standardized, and integrated across the general post office, the sub-post offices, and the branches. Once that is done, it's just a matter of putting in place the right telecommunications network that would enable electronic payments in a secure environment. There's also the issue of counter automation that we're currently looking at, which basically lends itself to all that. Instead of having a clerk at the water department come to the post office to do the transactions of the water department, the cashiers at the post office can actually process bill payments, they can issue stamps, they can do top-ups, they can deal with social security and pension payments all in one.
During the 16th Annual Caribbean Postal Union Conference, we spoke to two delegates from overseas. The first was Leah Emerson, Executive Director of International Postal Affairs for the United States Postal Service.
The discussions here have been, I think, very fruitful. There's a call for change and modernization new strategies and diversification, creating products that the customers want with tracking information and delivery confirmation, and mainly to face all the challenges that we have in a digital age now. Although many say that the letters are going away, they're going to the internet, they're going to email, they're still very much relevant if we can combine them with digital technologies. For instance, in the U.S. Postal Service, we have letters with the QR code, and people can use their smartphone and get the coupons of whatever they're selling. So combining these technologies, I think we will remain relevant and vibrant in the next years.
Which actually hints at one of the questions that I was going to ask, of course, because the United States Postal Service has had its challenges, particularly over the last couple of years. I know, for instance, that they've had to downsize operations in terms of hours have had to be cut. There's some issue in terms of the monies, of course, in terms of keeping the post office going. How would you say that the effort is to convince policymakers that the post office still serves a general function in terms of the people, that it can remain relevant, given the fact that, as you mentioned, the internet is there, and also that it has to compete with some of the private entities, which many would argue does it better and cheaper?
Yes, the U.S. Postal Service is having challenging times, and it's mainly due to the need of our government to effect some real needed postal reform. And we are just like many of the countries here. Everyone is calling for postal reform and to create new structures that are more forward-looking and more business-like and less governmental. I believe the Postal Service has had to downsize because the letter volume is declining. And most of our infrastructure in the past, all of these letter processing plants, were all geared around letters. And as those have declined dramatically, we are changing and consolidating our network. But there are promising signs in that the packages, express mail, and packets, many parts of our products and services are growing. And that is helping to offset the declining letters.
The importance of technology will help to create a balance between the developed countries and those not so developed.
I think the spirit of cooperation amongst all of the countries, working with small partners, large partners, we're all the same in that we bind our nations together back home, and then we bind the world together at conferences such as this. Many of the initiatives that I've come to propose here, many countries are willing and able to start new products, registered letters with tracking information. This will help spur the growth of e-commerce, which is really what is driving our postal services now, the growth.
And does that make it easier for the larger territories we discussed off camera earlier about Great Britain, the United States, France, the Netherlands, and also Canada? Does that make it easier on the post offices in these countries to remain relevant, more or less, in terms of having the smaller countries advance to offering these type of digital services?
Yes, it does, because as we say, the worldwide chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So many of the countries that have severe economic challenges and lack of resources, sometimes the government does not give them resources because it's not a priority. It needs to be increased in priority in all the governments because it makes a strong worldwide network that provides universal service for all citizens in the world.
And you've seen that buy-in here?
Yes, I have.
Now for our discussion with Bishar Hussain, the Director General of the Universal Postal Union. Hussain was elected Director General of the UPU International Bureau on October 10, 2012, during the 25th Universal Postal Congress in Doha, Qatar. His 4-year mandate as the head of the United Nations Specialized Agency for Postal Services began on January 1, 2013. I started our discussion by asking to explain the role of the UPU.
Well, the Universal Postal Union is one of the specialized agencies of the United Nations dealing with postal matters worldwide. It has 93 member countries. The union is about 39 years old. It was established in 1874. And over the years, we've been the global body that deals with the distribution of postal services throughout the world.
Talk a bit about the type of challenges that post offices face and how they can more or less incorporate the technology to add to their service?
Well, thank you very much. Actually, technology and post have always been having a symbiotic relationship. As we evolve over the century and almost 39 years now, we have been dealing with evolving technologies. So every time technology evolves, then the mail business is threatened. But post office has the ability to adapt those technologies and come up with new products and services that are relevant. I'll give you an example. When the telegraph on telephones came in, they thought post office was going to die. Over the years, the post office really thrived using the same technologies, coming up with product and services, telegraphic money orders, telegraphic messaging, and so forth. So this is just a technology, a tool which you use, which was adopted. When the faxes came, they thought the post office was going to finish. And we overcame that, and we used the fax money orders for many other fax services. And then we came that the technology evolved, and we got what we call the internet age. And now we think now everybody has got a laptop or an SMS, and the post is going to die. But no, I can tell you that our business are growing leaps and bounds, particularly with the new introduction of new technologies like e-services and e-businesses and so forth. Well, definitely the physical mail, the letter mail business has shown some considerable decline in certain areas as a result of this new substitution of these new technologies. But again, the post office is now using or coming up with new and innovative products using the new technologies to come with new products and services. Those are the challenges now we are dealing with. Yeah.
And so how would you say the discussions that have taken place here at the Marriott in St. Kitts and Nevis has gone?
Well, quite frankly, I am very much impressed with the level of the presentations that I have seen in this place, and the content is very, very appropriate, because it's the same policies, the same issues that we do at the global level is what they are now discussing at the regional level. And this is why I am here personally myself from the Universal Postal Union, because of a lot of connection with this region. I have been here twice, 3 times in the last 1 year and a half. And it was a commitment that I made that I was going to come and work with the member countries in these countries to see that, the challenges that they have here are addressed both at the country level, at the restricted union level, and also at global level. So we provide technical expertise, information, knowledge, and also direct support to the union.
And talk to us a bit about as you've been Director General at the UP, what would you say when you leave office, whenever that time comes, is the one thing that you would like to have achieved?
Well, certainly, let me say one thing here. I have done now 29 years, I think, in the postal services. I was a diplomat for 6 years, otherwise all the time I spent in post office. I was a CEO of a developing country like here now. And I'm now the Director General of the UPU. My wish would be to see that, that the postal network is viewed by the member countries or appreciated as a fundamental infrastructure for the social and economic development of nations, regardless of their size. So my priority here is to see that the agenda of the post office is taken up by the highest level of government. In fact, this must come right from the top, from the presidency, right to the cabinet ministers, and then to the postal. So everybody must be able to appreciate the role. It's just like any other infrastructure. If the government is planning for health, is planning for social services, planning for water and electricity and education, then and roads and airports, post office is an infrastructure like that, which actually contributes considerably to the socio-economic development of society. So my one thing I want to see here is to see the Caribbean Postal Union really develop the most appropriate postal network that meets the standards of every other nation in the world.
Director General of the Universal Postal Union, Bishar Hussain. Before we leave, here's a promo for the return of our television program, Generations. The second season debuts this Thursday, June 20, on ZIZ Television at 8 p.m.
With the passage of time, we see generations, reminding us of times gone by, survival in the midst of challenge, bridging the gap between our surviving elders and the youngest ancestors. The St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service presents Children of Sugar.
We were satisfied, you tell you plain. Anyone I go to this yard, go beg anybody anything, don't come back.
If you've ever lived in Sandy Point or were born in Sandy Point, it is a very competitive environment. But $7.50 in that time, it was small, but it used to do a lot because I measure my corn in my bushel.
Join us for the second series of Generations, Children of Sugar, on ZIZ TV starting this June. Let SKNIS help you recall the triumphant spirit of Kittitians and Nivisions.
Thanks, Alicia. I'll be watching. I'm Ian Richards. Thank you for listening.
We're pleased that you joined us for this edition of SKNIS Perspectives. Join us every week at this same time on this radio station.
This program is produced by the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.